Hi Scorpio, welcome to your April 2025 horoscope. In April, there are two main events to keep track of. One is Venus going direct, and the second is a T-square between Mars, Pluto, and the Sun. This second one is especially important for you, Scorpio, because it's happening in your angular houses. But before we get into that, let's start off with the beginning of the month, go through the dates and exactly what you can expect. Between April 4th and April 7th, Venus conjuncts Saturn in your 5th house, while also trining Mars in your 9th house and sextiling Uranus in your 7th house. Venus conjunct Saturn might make you feel like you are facing a roadblock when you try to have fun, when you try to pursue your hobbies, maybe when you try to hang out with your friends or do some dating. Thankfully though, we are supported by Mars and Uranus, and by taking a look at them, we can also get insight into how we can hopefully work through this roadblock. With Mars in your 9th house, perhaps doing some travel or taking some educational classes or courses could help you work through this roadblock. Maybe you sign up for a course and you actually meet somebody there and you end up being able to have fun in that way or with that person. And with Uranus in your 7th house, it could also be that already your existing relationships, doesn't have to be romantic ones. It could also be a really close friend or a business partner, that maybe relying on them and connecting with them could also give you a nice outlet or a nice way to be able to have fun and express yourself. Then on April 13th, we have Venus going direct in your 5th house. And on this day, we also have a full moon in Libra in your 12th house. Libra is ruled by Venus, so I love that we have a full moon in Libra right when Venus is going direct. So with Venus going direct, it's time to start putting into action, start taking some decisions with your hobbies, with your self-expression, with your dating. If there have been things you've been reflecting on, things you've thought, maybe I should shift that, change that, especially since March, then from the 13th, it's a good time to start doing that. And keep note of also March 24th and April 24th and April 25th, because on those days, Venus conjuncts the North Node and it conjuncts Saturn. So you might find that you have to take action again around those dates. Something happens that says, hey, remember that reflection you were doing about how to have better fun, how to date better, how to express yourself better? Is it maybe time to take action again, change things again? 24th and 25th, those are also important dates to keep track of. And finally, one thing I would add about Venus going direct, it's happening during that full moon in Libra. The full moon is in your 12th house. So you might find that this has some sort of like spiritual effects or spiritual implications for you. You might find that you need to let go of certain things. You might find that you need to get in touch with your compassionate side, with the side of you that sees the humanity in all of us. And that might also further help you in taking these actions, might further help you in having fun and having more pleasurable moments. Sometimes we think that, okay, if you're spiritual, you don't do that. You're not intimate with anybody. You don't enjoy food. You don't care about material things. But actually, with this full moon, it's almost about this realization that spirituality is not about that. Spirituality is not about denying the fact that we like fun and we like to feel good. Spirituality is definitely not about that, Scorpio. Later in the month, on April 18th and 19th, we have Mars and the Sun entering new signs. Mars enters Leo, or your 10th house, and the Sun enters Taurus, or your 7th house. With Mars entering your 10th house, you might find yourself more assertive and dominant at your workplace, in your career. And with the Sun entering your 7th house, you might find yourself much more energized when you spend time with your partner. As soon as Mars and the Sun enter these new signs, they also enter a T-square with Pluto. So Mars is opposing Pluto, Mars in your 10th house, Pluto in your 4th house, and they are squaring the Sun in your 7th house. Scorpio, you are one of the 4 signs who will feel this the strongest, especially if you have your Sun, Moon, or Ascendant at those beginning degrees of the fixed signs, the beginning degrees of Scorpio, Taurus, Aquarius, or Leo, then this will have major implications for you. We are talking about much more psychological implications because it is Pluto after all, but those can be, of course, very intense and they can feel quite life-altering. With Pluto in your 4th house, you are facing any fears you have around belonging. You are asked to take a look at any fears you might have inherited from your ancestors or from your familial upbringing. Maybe if you have felt like you never really belonged with your family, that you were never really accepted in the way you were. And this is going to have an effect on your career. This is going to have an effect on your relationships. Of course, how could it not? It's such a fundamental piece of you, Scorpio. But definitely don't be afraid to do the hard work and face those uncomfortable feelings that are coming up. Especially because when this Mars-Pluto opposition is exact on the 27th, we also have a new moon in Taurus. It's a new moon in your 7th house, Scorpio. So I really see this as a nice sign from the universe that if you do this hard work, if you face these uncomfortable feelings, there is something new, a new energy, a new beginning, budding in your relationship. Perhaps you're able to relate to your partner in a way or with a depth that you haven't before. Perhaps you meet a new partner. Perhaps you can show up and be a better partner than you have ever been able to before. So it's definitely a nice promise from the universe. And I know, Scorpio, you're definitely not one to shy away from deep psychological work. And finally, we end off the month on April 30th with Venus entering Aries, or your 6th house. This was originally the sign Venus was in when it first went retrograde back in March. So now that it's back there, it's time to start putting into motion, start taking actions on the things you were reflecting on back in March with regards to your health or your routine. Perhaps back in March, it became very clear that certain parts of your morning routine don't make sense, that certain responsibilities you have no idea why you have them. It's time to let them go. From the 30th onwards, it's a very good time to start actually doing some of those things that you were thinking about. So Scorpio, April has the promise to be a very transformational, very insightful time to do some deep psychological work. I hope you take the opportunity. I hope you let it inspire you to form better relationships. I hope you let it inspire you to get in touch with your spiritual side and to have more fun and more pleasure in your life. Thanks for joining me, Scorpio, and I hope to see you again soon.